Okay. If we remove friendship, half of our joy goes right with it. Friendships are one of the greatest gifts from God. He has designed us to be gravitated towards human connections. Friendships are what we are made for. We are created with a longing for community and a desire for people in our lives. Friendships are also a huge source of our happiness. Thinking back to all of my favorite memories, all of them are shared with friends. Those friends made those moments good and memorable. One of my favorite quotes by J.C. Ryle says, "This world is full of sorrow because it is full of sin. It is a dark place. It is a lonely place. The brightest sunbeam in it is a friend." Friendships halves our troubles and doubles our joy. There's so much truth to that. We need people in our lives to make the hard things easy and to create a space where we can be our truest selves. Last summer, I went on a mission trip to Guatemala. I was super nervous going into it, and I only knew one person. I was one of the oldest on the trip and was nervous about how I fit in because I knew they had all been friends beforehand. One of the nights we were in Guatemala, we stayed at this hotel that had outdoor seating in the lobby. That night, a group of 6 of us sat outside talking. We were admiring the new country we were in while also looking at the numerous stars. We started sharing about the trip so far and what we were looking forward to that week. As we kept talking, more and more of us were able to be vulnerable and comfortable about sharing. Everyone was able to share moments from their lives that they were struggling with, as well as laughing at all the jokes we made. We spent hours just talking about everything possible while creating a safe space for each other. After that night, I felt safe and reassured that I had people to go to if I needed anything, and they made it known to me that they could come to me with things as well. In my book, Made for Friendship, Drew Hunter says, "Being together can break down barriers and help us find the beauty in things around us. All those late-night conversations and the time spent together in Guatemala helped us to break down those barriers and discover that friendship was right in front of us." Because of that one night, it shifted the dynamic of the trip entirely, causing us to get closer regardless of what we were doing. One of the days, we went on a hike that was supposed to be 2 hours long. We ended up getting lost, so it took 7 hours. I didn't appreciate it then, but I can now. That extra time spent together created a time where we could connect and talk even further. Bonding over the most simple things or laughing about how awful the hike was, it was all time spent together. I remember hiking next to Evelyn, and she said something along the lines of, "Whoa, that's so beautiful," pointing in the distance of the many green mountains covered in a layer of fog. I realized how right she was. If we didn't get lost, we wouldn't have been able to connect over the beautiful views in God's creation. The next 30 minutes we spent talking about how pretty it was instead of complaining about how our knees and feet were hurting. That simple conversation continued to help us go into further details about our lives. That day, we were able to open up to each other more than ever before. Because of that hike, it shifted the dynamic of our friendship entirely, where she became one of my closest friends even after we got home. As the time came for me to choose my topic, I knew exactly what I was going to do. 2 years ago, I remember sitting in Mr. Schultz's room with Grace Finke and Elizabeth Hillman. They were helping each other with their capstone speeches while also timing them. I remember thinking, I'm so glad capstone is 2 years away. I have no idea what I'll even choose. As I sat there listening to Grace's speech about friendship and how much people have impacted her, I realized I related to it just as well. From then on, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Through this, I learned why friendships are important to me and how we all have a need for people in our lives. I learned that human connections bring joy into my life, as well as offering an opportunity where we can be our truest selves. Most importantly, I learned that there's a difference between having friends and true friendship. The book I read for capstone used the analogy of a snorkeler versus a scuba diver. Drew Hunter says, "We settle for snorkeling and leave the depths unexplored. The snorkeler will stay on the surface and only get to experience so much. On the other hand, the scuba diver gets to experience way more. Same with our friendships. If we stay on the surface of them, we will only be able to experience so much. And only become close friends. We might say our friends are surface level and blame it on being too busy, or we might have more important things to do, but we all make time for what we value, so by saying you're too busy for someone is simply not true." Another way that our friends have become surface level is through social media. Social media is often viewed as a way to connect with people, and over 2/3 of our population use a type of platform. However, this affects the quality versus quantity of our friendships. People will base their social status on the thousands of Instagram followers they have, or the hundreds of likes and comments they get. Many of those friends are just acquaintances or people we've never even met. Yet so many of us choose to focus on how many friends we have rather than the quality of any of those friendships. In friendship, quality is the utmost important key to developing a deeper relationship that will have a lasting impact on your life. So here are a few ways that I believe that we can add more depth and meaning into our relationships. Making time for people by creating an intentional space is a great way to take surface level friends to deeper level friends. In a class called Becoming Like Christ, we learn how to be disciples of God while also learning how to create friendships. During one of our assignments, we had to draw 3 circles on the inside of each other. On the center circle, we wrote names of our best friends. On the second circle, we wrote names of our good friends. And on the third, we wrote names of people who are our acquaintances. These are maybe people we talk to every day but never really create memories with. I realized I had a lot more people in the third circle than I wanted, and I was going through life with acquaintances and not close friends. I questioned how I could take a third circle friend and make them a center circle friend. I didn't learn until this year how to do that effectively. The most effective way was to create intentional space for you and your friends to create intentional time for conversations. I have a friend who I used to see once a year, but her and I have made it a priority to hang out every single week. One of the times we hung out, I wanted to create a space where her and I could dive deeper into deep conversations. I planned for us to go hiking and then talk about questions I provided regarding our faith, friendships, relationships, school, and more. On the hike and on the drive, we were able to catch each other up on our lives by telling stories of things that had happened. Once we hiked for about an hour, we sat on some rocks just talking. This is where I asked the questions I had provided before. We were able to go into so much detail with each question. I thought it would take 20 minutes, but because of the depth of each answer, we talked for over 3 hours. This opened up opportunity for us to be vulnerable as well as create a space to support each other through the hardships in our life. By creating a space, we had intentional time together that wasn't just spent being on our phones or sitting around not doing anything. This day was one of the most memorable days I had with her because of the conversations we had and the space that was created. By creating an intentional space is one of the most important ways that it can impact your friendships for a lifetime and grow stronger connections. At the beginning of the school year in senior SEM, we created a rule of life. The rule of life were healthy habits we wanted to create for ourselves as well as balancing our time. One of the sections involved goals we wanted to make with friendships as well as community. One of the main goals I set was to create intentional time for me and my friends who are out of state. Since I can't hang out with them whenever I want, I wanted to make sure that I was still maintaining my friendships with them. This intentional time included scheduling a FaceTime call where we could catch each other up on our lives. I decided to FaceTime one of my friends in Georgia, just thinking if I called her, I was doing work for my capstone or calling her to say I followed up with my rule of life. In reality, our one-time FaceTimes turned into a weekly call that we both make time for and look forward to when we can talk again. Regardless if it's 10 minutes or an hour, we make time out of our busy weeks and the time difference to talk about anything and everything. This time over the phone has grown us closer together, knowing that next time I see her in person, it won't feel like I haven't seen her in months. I'm so grateful that something that seemed like homework turned into intentional time to talk and grow with her. This also creates a space for us not to feel lonely and to be around people who bring out the best in you. Even something as simple as going to lunch with friends can create a space for deeper conversations and to help your understanding of each other. This helps us feel better connected to those around us by creating longer-lasting bonds. Friends play a crucial role in shaping our personal identity and influencing our thoughts and behaviors. It is important to choose people who uplift you as they can have a positive impact on your happiness and overall well-being. Another way to grow more meaningful relationships is through shared experiences. This time spent together is how we grow, connect, and create a space for deeper conversations. During COVID, when everything shut down, I was super excited to not have to go to school and to just be at home all the time. A week into doing Zoom calls, I struggled so much. I didn't want to do any of my work, and I didn't want to go to any of my online classes. I quickly learned how much I was going to miss being at school with my friends. I realized I was taking the time with them for granted, even though it was being in a classroom for 7 hours a day. As my freshman year started, I was super excited to go back to school to be with everyone. That year I struggled so much. I was quarantined about 9 different times for 2 weeks at a time, missing way too much school and trying to learn virtually. I would sit on the Zoom calls looking at the class, realizing how blessed they were to be together. I longed for when I could go back and just enjoy 1 week without being sent home. In the midst of this isolation and loneliness, there were some unexpected moments. Due to COVID, our fall volleyball season got canceled, but we were blessed with a shortened spring season. I appreciated that season more than I ever thought I would. Through playing volleyball, I was able to grow connections and friendships with all the girls on the team, regardless if they were older or younger than me. Every moment the team spent was intentional time. We would start off our practices in the athletic building, writing in our journals about our asks and our asks. These were things we were grateful for, as well as prayer requests that we had. We would then share with the team our prayer requests and be able to support each other through the hard things in our lives. During this time, we would also write notes of encouragement to the teams that we were playing against. A lot of the time, a small note of encouragement meant the world to these girls, and they would come to us asking who wrote them because of how intentional and sincere the letters were. By this small act of kindness, we were able to create bonds with the other teams, as well as inspire them to start writing notes themselves. Most importantly, we created friendship, not just a volleyball team. On or off the court, we created long-lasting bonds with each other. From things like van rides and dinners to Ogallala and regionals, it was all quality time bonding us closer together. These seasons have helped us grow because of the shared experiences that we've had together, creating the best memories and stories of a lifetime. Playing with them for 4 years has made me realize how much I need people in my life to keep me going, and to challenge me to become more the person I want to become. Another way that I see my friendships grow is the way they challenge me in my faith. When we surround ourselves with like-minded individuals who share our same beliefs and values, it can inspire us to strengthen our faith. Friends can be a source of accountability in our spiritual journey. They become like our accountability partner through sharing our struggles and temptations. Friends can also hold us accountable for our actions, attitudes, behaviors, and choices by encouraging us to align them with God. Last summer, one of my friends and I had a long talk. During this, he respectfully called me out for the way I was living my life. He explained the way I was living was not honoring to God. He shared with me why my toxic actions were going to cause me to lose people and turn away from God completely. At first, I was offended that someone would say this, but after thorough reflection, I was able to look at my own heart and reevaluate my actions and ultimately point myself back towards God. Jonathan Holmes says, "Candor is the ability to speak truth and love for the good of your friends." When we have friends who challenge us to live out our faith and can call us out for our wrong actions, we can experience personal growth in our relationship with God. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27:17. Friends can help redirect our lives and ultimately point us back to God. Friends are also a source of encouragement and support in times of doubt and hardship. During the volleyball season, I was having a really off game. A fellow teammate could see how much I was physically and mentally struggling. Once I was off the court, she came up to me and told me that she was praying over me while I was playing. She said God had given her the word royalty. She proceeded to pick up my crown and place it on my head. She laid her hand on me, praying over me, for me to be filled with God's peace and to walk in His authority on the court. She reminded me I'm a daughter of the King and that God is with me no matter what. She displayed genuine friendship to me by praying over me to encourage me, knowing she could use God's peace to help me overcome the mental block I was facing. When we face trials in our life, having friends who are there to support us, offer words of encouragement, and provide help can help us stay rooted in our faith. They can remind us of God's promise to never leave us nor forsake us, and how great His love is for us. Praying with friends is a great way to grow stronger friendships, as well as strengthen your own faith. When we have people who are willing to pray with us and for us, we can experience the weight prayer has in our lives. By witnessing people's kindness and love, we can be reminded of God's sovereignty in their lives, as well as that, this can have a positive effect on us by wanting to be around people who bring out the best in you. You become like the people you hang out with, so having friendships that encourage you to engage in Bible studies, prayer groups, or even discussions about faith can help you both grow closer together while ultimately pointing you closer to God. Okay. People have made me. They have helped me grow as a person and have truly shown me what friendship is about. I want to be with people. I want to grow deep connections. I want to be intentional with the type of friend I am, as well as intentional in all of my friendships. Through storytelling, intentional time, and shared experiences, friends have helped me see God's beauty and why He has designed us for friendship. We need people in our lives, and ultimately, we are all made for friendship. Thank you.